What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about everything Pokemon Sword and Shield leading up into E3. Now, I won't be using actual Pokemon Sword and Shield footage because the Pokemon Company is not allowing people to do that on YouTube without getting the video blocked. So you will be seeing footage from Pokemon Sun and Moon, maybe Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, and of course some screenshots here and there. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get right into today's content. I'm going to be starting out with Pokemon Sword and Shield customization has been confirmed for trainers. So you will be able to customize different outfits that you can wear in the game. Now this was confirmed in a little bit of a weird way because there was a competition going around where you can design a Pokemon themed shirt, and the winner will have that shirt be in Pokemon Sword and Shield or have their designs printed so people can buy it. And we saw the trainer in that. So they did just announce that. You see the person here in the original trailer for the game. He's throwing a Pokeball, or at least the screenshot. He's throwing a Pokeball and he's wearing like a red outfit or whatever with a white undershirt or something like that. And here you can see that he's clearly wearing that designed shirt that won the contest. So there you go. That is confirmed Pokemon trainer customization with outfits and stuff like that. Now, the reason why this is even being brought up a little bit is because sometimes the Pokemon Company is known to kind of just take away things that used to be in previous games. So while some might have thought that this was a foregone conclusion that we're going to be able to do that, you never know with the Pokemon Company sometimes. Now, let's talk a little bit more about some of the other stuff in terms of my wish list that I want to see when we finally see the game again at E3, which I think it will be at E3, or we're probably going to see maybe some type of footage, maybe a little bit before then. I think there's going to be a lot of content even after E3. There's going to be stuff where they talk about this game. This is Nintendo's biggest game for 2019. When it comes to what's going to sell the most on the Nintendo Switch, it's going to be Pokemon games. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee sold over 10 million units, okay? 10 million units last year on the Nintendo Switch. So now with the actual normal mainline game coming into the play here, this is going to do a lot more than 10 million units when it's launched. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the stuff that I want to see in the game. And the first thing is graphics improvements. This has been something that's been a lot of talk when it comes to the Pokemon Sword and Shield game. We've talked about it on the PE podcast. It's been all over the place, but I do think that the game was not complete. And I think that's the reason why the Pokemon Company also says like, hey, we don't want people out there doing like these graphics comparisons and all this other stuff. I think they're actually going to improve the graphics of the game. This being their first real HD Pokemon game in terms of what they've done before with the normal mainline series, not a Pokemon Let's Go type of game. So I do think that they are going to improve the graphics. I think the next time that we see the game, it is going to look better, but I do want to see that graphics improvements just because like it's one of those things where you have a system like the Nintendo Switch, right? You know it's capable of doing some pretty good things. It's not the most capable system out there when it comes to it because you have like the Xbox and all that, but then again, you still want to see some great stuff from it when it comes to graphics. And with them making this game, I think people just want to see things tightened up just a little bit. I don't think it needs to be crazy. I don't think the graphics are actually horrible. I actually think it looks pretty good for the style that they're going for, but I can understand some people kind of being a little bit disappointed when it comes to the in-game battles and some of the grass, right? That's been a lot of contention with fans, some of the grass and how that looks. So I hope that they sharpen up things when it comes to the overall look of the game, the atmosphere, the environments, and what they do, which I think that they will, because they said that the footage wasn't final and they're always going to make graphics improvements. And I think that we're going to see some of that maybe at E3 or maybe even a little bit before. The next thing that I want to talk about is end game content. I think that end game content is obviously very important. You want to make sure that you have a lot of content out there for users to play. I think the campaigns in Pokemon games are always pretty meaty, so it's not like you're getting a short experience, but you're always looking for that next thing when it comes to the end game content and what you can do, whether that's opening up different battle towers or having certain arenas be available. End game content has always been really good in Pokemon games, but then sometimes it hasn't been good in Pokemon games. So we'll see what they do with this one. I'm looking for stuff to where you can kind of like go through and have additional modes being added in, like the really hard challenge towers that can net you like rare items or potential TMs and things like that. So it makes things a bit easier in order to train up your other Pokemon that you end up doing. So I do hope that they have some nice end game content out there for users to play, maybe even extra dungeons and stuff like that they've done before, right? Where you can kind of go through maybe different zones that you can access even after you've beaten the game and collect different types of Pokemon. All of that stuff really helps flesh out the Pokemon experience. Now, the next thing that I want to see is quality of life improvements and tweaks. Now, some of this stuff has been in previous games, but I'm just hoping that it just continues to stay there. So stuff like easy fast travel, not having to put fly on a Pokemon and waste a move slot, but just being able to have easy fast travel. There doesn't need to be some gimmick tied to it. I think like you don't have to teach a Pokemon fly or learn some type of HM, and I know that's tradition, but I just think that you should be able to fast travel to any city that you've already been to. You should just be able to fast travel there. I mean, it doesn't have to make sense or something like that. So I think that would be really good. Also, accessing Pokemon anywhere. I think having like the PC to where you can access it anywhere and not have to be at a Pokemon Center or be at some type of PC, a different type of place to access it, which I know that they've done before, but I would really like for them to do that, to where you can just access your Pokemon anywhere at any time. Obviously not in battle, so you can just endlessly like swap out Pokemon. That wouldn't necessarily be fair. You don't want the game to be too easy, but at the same time, I mean, I would like to be able, okay, if I'm out in some type of cave or something like that, and I'm running out of Pokemon or there's some issue, I'll be able to access at least a reserve of 6 Pokemon at the minimum that I can put there and say, hey, I can access these Pokemon at any time, so I don't have to go back to a Pokemon Center. So just quality of life stuff like that. Now I know everyone is not going to agree with me on that, but like I said, just like little quality of life things, and you can do some things to limit it so where you don't have like full access to your Pokemon in terms of everything that you do have. And another thing that I'd like to see is Pokemon Bank functionality. I think the Pokemon Bank is interesting because I have a bunch of Pokemon on the Pokemon Bank from like the DS games and all of that, and I don't pay for the Pokemon Bank anymore, so they're just kind of just sitting there at hostage till I pay for it again. So give me a reason to pay for the Pokemon Bank again so I can access all of my Pokemon that are just like trapped there at the moment, because they're just there. I haven't transferred them to any of the 3DS games or anything like that, or I've only transferred some of them and not all of them. So I'd like to be able to transfer the rest of them. So Pokemon Bank functionality would be absolutely awesome. Pokemon Company, Game Freak, you're listening? Hopefully you guys can get that in. Now, another thing that I'd like to see in this is harder difficulty levels. Now, people do crazy things in order to make Pokemon games harder. You have the Nuzlocke challenges. You have all sorts of weird stuff that people do. I don't think we need that. We don't need Nuzlocke challenges in order for a game to be harder. I mean, all we need is for the levels to be raised a bit and have to make you grind a little bit more when it comes down to it. So I think that doing stuff like that would be better, having a easy, a normal, and a hard, and basically just raising the levels of the different Pokemon where you're at. And I think that would help out, because sometimes they're just way too easy to kind of run through the game depending on what starter Pokemon you pick. That's usually what the Pokemon Company has done in order to balance difficulty. If you pick this Pokemon, well, it's going to be harder because this is rock and you won't be able to have an effectiveness against it. But then you can just catch a different Pokemon and that'll be effective against it, and just train that one. So I think they should balance the difficulty when it comes to having different modes and not be it based on what starter Pokemon that you pick. Just so for the advanced trainers out there that like to train multiple different Pokemon, and we have the experience share, it's not like we can't make the game easier that way when it comes down to it. So I'm hoping that there's harder difficulty levels in there so we can kind of get that challenge that advanced Pokemon trainers are kind of looking for, and not have to wait till the end game or playing somebody else online and all of that. So speaking of online though, I think in-depth online play is definitely a must, making sure that there's all the different features in terms of playing your friends, making sure that there's invites, making sure that you can kind of trade Pokemon easy. I think they really need to make sure that the online is in-depth and good. I like when they do that. And the Pokemon Company, believe it or not, has actually been at the forefront when it comes to online features for a Nintendo-based game. They were doing stuff all the way back on the DS, built-in voice chat, with doing nice quick trading, all sorts of stuff, even having like an MMO type of experience with Pokemon X and Y, having trainers just be able to pop up whenever you have your Wi-Fi enabled and you can trade with them and stuff like that, like right there, or you can challenge them to a battle. They were doing a lot of stuff that Nintendo wasn't doing on their main home consoles yet for games. So the Pokemon Company has actually been on the forefront of the online features and things like that, and I think that this game should be no exception to that. I think there should be some nice, cool online features that are put in there, and maybe some new stuff that they can bring up too. So we'll see what the Pokemon Company and Game Freak does with this one. Now, last but definitely not least is strict on cheating. And I know that this is something that people don't usually talk about too much when it comes to what they want to see, but Pokemon games have always been littered with people who just rampantly cheat. Okay, not everybody, not most people, but there's been a lot of people that go online with crazy hacked Pokemon and stuff like that. So I think the Pokemon Company and Game Freak, Nintendo, they all need to work together to make sure that cheaters are punished, and punished severely. I'm not just talking about like a somewhat like 2-day ban or a 3-day ban. I'm talking about like permanent types of bans for people who consistently put on hacked Pokemon or even do it for the first time. I don't really think there should be like any tolerance when it comes to this. If you go on with hacked Pokemon, or if you're cheating in some way and like it wasn't from like, let's say like a traded Pokemon so you didn't know, so if it was a Pokemon that was hacked originally based on your system, that's absolutely something that you should be banned from online play pretty much forever at that point. With that Nintendo Network ID, this should just be banned, and you'd have to make a new Nintendo Network ID and have a whole new save file in order for you to go on, and that would stop people from cheating, because I think that too many times that Nintendo and Game Freak and all them, they don't do enough to stop cheating, and they let cheaters continue to just keep on coming back over and over and over. And I know it's not easy to stop cheaters, because cheaters really spend too much time figuring out ways to cheat and not get caught. But at the same time, I feel that they need to preserve the integrity of how popular a game like Pokemon is when it comes to the competitive nature. So making sure people don't cheat and making sure things run smoothly is going to be very vital and important for the game. And hopefully Nintendo, Game Freak, Pokemon Company, they all can get that settled and make sure that there's very little to no cheating in there, and when people do cheat, they are punished severely for it. So those are my wishes, my hopes, and wants for Pokemon Sword and Shield. There's probably a bunch of things that I didn't get into that I want as well, or maybe stuff that you guys can let me know about. Let me know your thoughts in terms of what you want to see in Pokemon Sword and Shield in the comment section below. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for this RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.